Hello and welcome to the start of a brand new reading vlog, which is going to be the start of a series where I read down my physical TBR. At this point, you will have seen my unhaul that went up a couple weeks ago, and I don't know, I was just sitting in my book room and I was just looking at my shelves and I just wasn't happy. It's like, I have so many books on here that I don't care about. I had like piles and piles of books like put away and there was no space for them. And I don't necessarily have a lot of space in this room to expand. I have these two shelves, a third shelf here, a little book cart, a whole shelf there for romance books, and some random K-pop, and then like a little special edition shelf in the corner. Look away if there were any other messes that you spotted. This room is under construction at the moment. Not like actual construction, like I just have to clean it. You'll notice that these bookshelves behind me, you probably have not seen them before. I'm really excited. I took all my sprayed edges and I made this cute little stack. And I have this. I have the Mother of Death and Dawn facing out, which if you're watching this, you know that this is a Carissa Broadbent vlog. So I wanted to make more like fancy romance bookshelves because what I'm reading. Over here, I mean, I have my items in front of it, but I have the Dawn of Onyx, Blood and Steel, Legacy series, the Raven Kennedy series, some other random things, and like there's room. There's room for other things to go. I have the shelves that you normally see are kind of like up there. I've rearranged a lot and I've left a lot of room. And in this first vlog, I really wanted to talk about like what sparked it and what my plan is going forward for book buying and just like managing my book inventory. Like honestly, that's what this comes down to. And yes, this is going to be a Carissa Broadbent themed reading vlog because throughout my TBR takedown series, I don't know if I should call it TBR takedown. I don't know if that's like somebody's trademark. I need to think of a clever thing to name it, and at the time that this is being filmed I don't have that, so if it has a clever name, just know I came up with something. If it's a quite boring name, whatever. So yeah, so I went through and I like really just like tried to thoroughly unhaul. Obviously I still left unread books on my shelves, right? So I posted a book buying ban video last year, and I will say I did not stick to it quite well, although I do think I slowed down and stopped buying everything, and I especially stopped buying things just because they were special editions, which is big because special editions had such a huge surge this year, I will say. I need to figure out like, okay, I have limited space, and also like I want my collection to be like the most curated thing that reflects me. I don't want it to be a collection of like random books that I might like one day just reach for. So I was like, how do I do this? So I unhauled a lot. I think in total I ended up listing on Pango Books about 133 books. I didn't realize it was that many. When I posted my unhaul video, I said it was 80 books. I think it was more. And then I gave like 5 or 6 to my cousin. I have like 5 or 6 in the corner to give to other family members. So like in total, I probably have gotten rid of over 150 books, and I still feel like there's a lot of space in here. I mean, a lot of books in here. I have a Notion page actually. I started using Notion for my bookish things, and it's been really great. So in my Notion, I literally just like made a list of like where each of the books is located, and then from this point on, like I can cross it off this list so I know how many of the list that I am actually reading from like when I have at this current moment, and then as I buy books, I will also add them to the list. Here's the thing. Going on a complete book buying ban, I don't think is sustainable unless you have a discrete end date in mind, or you have it's not complete. Because I think all or nothing, then you're just going to want to break it because you're going to want to buy books. Like I want to be reading new releases. I want to be reading hype things. I want to be finding new books. Like that is part of being a reader, and buying books is a part of that. The goal here is to really figure out how do I manage that so that I'm not buying these books that I end up not really liking that much. And some of it is trial and error. Like it's not to say I'm never going to buy a book and read it thinking that I'm really going to love it and I hate it and I want to get rid of it. Like that's just going to happen. It's life. So what do we do? How do we try and minimize that? That's what I'm doing here. So I got rid of everything. I have a physical TBR list, and I also have a TBR card here, which I will pull over in a second. And I have a Kindle Unlimited membership. This Kindle, I read like everything on her. I love my Kindle so much. And I found I'm way more of a digital reader, and it also allows me to explore books that I want to read, but I don't necessarily know if I love it to the extent that I need to own it. It's not like clutter if I try the book and I don't like it. And I think digital reading has also, that's why I have a lot of clutter of books to start with, because I didn't start as a Kindle reader. So like if I wanted to read a book, like I had to buy the book or get it from the library, but I've never been good at actually physically going to the library. I've been good at digitally using the library. So I think now, knowing that I have access to a lot on the Kindle, really I'm like, okay, well now I know that I don't really need to like own everything. And also I really do want to start reading like more like traditionally published books on my Kindle from my library. I don't know why, but if I like am in the mindset that like, oh, but it's a traditionally published book, it's not on Kindle Unlimited, so like I want to read the actual book, like I need to get out of that mindset. The thought is that I have all of these books on my shelves and I want to read down my physical TBR. And it's still quite extensive even after getting rid of so many books, most of them unread, some of them read, and I just didn't care for. And it's like, okay, so I did that, and I feel it's like out of sight, out of mind. Every time I've gotten rid of books, I've never thought about buying that book again, which to me is a sign that like it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't think I've ever gotten rid of a book and then rebought it later. That's never happened. So I know that like this is the right thing to do. So the plan. We are doing this Read Down My Physical TBR vlog series, which is just so exciting. And I am gonna just be, if it's a physical book, I need to read from my shelves, from my TBR cart, but I can read anything on my Kindle, which then leaves me open for other things that I want to try out as well. I have the Kindle, so I can read it, especially like say it's like a really popular indie book that got a traditional publishing deal. Well, maybe I should read it on my Kindle Unlimited first if I'm interested in it, and then buy the physical copy if I love it that much, and then I can, you know, read the rest of the series physically. Sometimes I just I'm like, I see everybody loving it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna buy it physically. And like, no, I should be utilizing, if it's on Kindle Unlimited, like I should be utilizing that resource first to really make sure that I like it and want it in my collection. So, and like say for example, like the Blood and Steel Legends of Thesmar series by Helen Scherer, I love that series. I read all of the books on my Kindle, but I own the physical like book trophies because I just adore that series with my whole heart. So like to me, that is kind of where it's making sense. Say like the first Crystal Broadbent series, I didn't buy the first book, Daughter of No Worlds. I just bought it on a whim. But I ended up loving the series, and I didn't buy the second two books until I was already in the middle of the first book, and I was like, whoa, this is life-changing. I need to buy the physical book. So I also want to like pare down on the amount of series that I'm in the middle of, and I'm counting series as like not interconnecting standalones, because if we count interconnecting standalones, it's literally everything that I read. But I think those series are designed to be picked up and put down as you please, whereas like a series with like events that carry over, like I want to make sure that I'm finishing series somewhat close together so that I'm not leaving like big gaps. And I am a series reader. Like I do tend to like to binge series, which is why I'm going to be doing this physical TBR tackle kind of in like based on series, because I like to read books together. But there are some things like if it didn't come out yet or whatever that I just haven't read the entire series for whatever reason, and I made a list of that, and if you want a separate video for that, that is one of my ideas of content to make in my comeback. Yeah, I have all of these books to choose from, and I have the TBR cart with the ones that I think are like more so in my periphery, like, or in my thoughts for starting. So, pull this over. Here's just the top. The top is fantasy romance, and then this is romance, which I'm not really in the mood for romance, but sometimes I am. These ones on the bottom are kind of, these are books that I want to read, but I'm not super sure about, but I would want to at least give them a try before I unshelve them. But we're not at that point yet. We're at the point of like, okay, the books I actually want to read, I need to read them. So there's like several stages to this plan, if you will. Okay, so I have these. But my rule is, okay, because I also want to not be in the middle of so many series, you know, except for the fact if like the next book isn't out yet, then sure. But also read down what I own. So say I pick up One Dark Window, which is one of the ones that I want to read somewhat soonish. I pick up One Dark Window, and I'm starting it, and I really, really love it, but I don't own the second book. Well, I can buy that book because then I'm going to be finishing the series, and I'm like in the middle of the series. So to me, like, that would be like an okay purchase. If I start Trial of the Sun Queen, and I really am liking it, and I want to just read the whole series in one go, like, I will buy those books. Like, I'm not going to stop myself from that, because then it's not going to feel like sustainable. Like, my whole thought has always been to create sustainable habits that can be carried forward for the rest of my life. So with that being said, you're like, well, can you pre-order and you buy books all the time? And to that I say, yes, I do. And I love, 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 like, keeping track of things that are coming out soon. I always like to do my anticipated releases videos, even though I've fallen off of that. I was trying to do them quarterly last year, and then I only did one quarter, and then, you know, life slammed into me. But I think I'm gonna do them by half of the year, and I'm gonna do it by, okay, what are the books that I've actually, like, pre-ordered? Because my thing is like, as I'm buying books, I want to read them, like, pretty soonish. So as I'm reading down my physical TBR, like, I'm also still going to be bringing in books, but it's hopefully going to be a controlled amount. And I think if I look at my pre-orders, I have like 1 to 2 a month, so sustainable. So my thought is, I don't want to be, okay, I just got rid of all these books and then I just let the physical unread books pile up again. So this TBR cart, because I'm using it as a tool to, like, display the ones that I can choose from at the moment. But again, I'm not going to be like, I'm never going to read on my Kindle again if there's a Kindle book I want to read. I'm not going to be like, I'm never going to buy another book again. Like, that is just unrealistic. But I'm really trying to keep my pre-orders to tried and true authors, things that I'm really, really excited for. If there's something I'm not sure about, then maybe I save it for a time where I'm not doing this kind of thing. And this is going, like, this project is for the long haul, right? Like, it is a long haul project. So keep that in mind. Read the books that I own. I have a TBR cart that I specifically curated with the books I want to read the most next. I do like mood reading. I haven't really done TBRs. Maybe I'll bring back not like a TBR, but like a hopeful, and I won't post it so I won't feel like obligated, but like it will at least give me like a framework to work within for the month. So I think that could be helpful. And then so yeah, read these. If it's a sequel to a book that I'm currently reading and enjoying, and I want to continue and finish the series, then yes, I can buy it. If it is one of my, like, most top anticipated releases that I really, really want, I can pre-order it. And my thought is really, really that I'm pre-ordering things and I'm not, like, buying any other new releases. And then the only books that I'm buying, like, off of my scheduled pre-orders are sequels to books that I'm currently reading and enjoying. I think that's the best way to work this. Yeah, just still read Kindle books, but try to aim more so for the physical books to help this. But there's just gonna be times where I'm gonna want to read on my Kindle, and who am I to deny myself? And then also, if I read it and I don't like it, just unhaul it. Just unhaul it. There's no need to keep it. Just unhaul it. I want to say in, like, July of 2023, I posted a reading blog for the Daughter of No World series, or it's the War of Lost Heart series by Carissa Broadbent. And this series changed my life. It is, like, just the craziest, like, one of the best. Oh, I was looking for that. One of, like, the, like, Carissa Broadbent just really manages to pack a punch with her world building and her plot, but it has that, like, romance that the romantasy girls want in fantasy books, but it does have a little bit more intricate, it's more intricate on, like, the actual fantasy side with still really, really good romance. And what I really loved about this particular romance is it was just so sweet, and our MMC is not like the typical character. He's a lot, like, softer, and, like, I just love their relationship so much. And these covers are gorgeous, and this, like, the emotional impact that this book had on me, like, needs to be studied by scientists. It's insane. So I highly, highly recommend picking up the series. Look at my blog. And but what she is now getting like very popular for is her Serpent and the Wings of Night series. So let me pull out what we have so far. So I have already read Serpent and the Wings of Night, and this one was so good. And the vlog is going to focus on me reading the rest of the Crowns of Nyaxia series that is currently out. So I've already read Serpent and the Wings of Night. I actually did vlog it, which is exciting, and I was going to continue on and like read the whole duology in that vlog, and it was just too close to my wedding. I just couldn't do it. I'm surprised I even posted that vlog to begin with. But yeah, I did these cool like color-coded tabs in this one, so I'll probably do that the same. That's another thing that I'm changing, by the way. I'm not tabbing every single book, because I kind of sometimes find that like I'm tabbing books where I don't necessarily like care that much to tab them. But Carissa Broadbent, she's my girl. She's getting tabs in her book. So I'm going to pick out my tabs, and yeah. So this is about Araya, and she is the child of a vampire lord, and the vampires rule over like the humans, and they're just like true like brutal bloodthirsty vampires. So she basically is like a prey living in the world of predators, and she has one chance to kind of get ahead in the world, and that is to enter in these trials, and these trials get granted a wish by the gods, or the goddess of something particular. And there's three different vampire houses, and so each Crowns of Nyaxia duology within the series focuses on a vampire from that particular house. So this one is about Rain, and he's from the House of Night, and within that House of Night there are like different vampire subtypes. Anyways, so then she meets Rain in this competition, and yet they somehow find themselves teaming up. This book is definitely an example of trials done right. Like, Carissa Broadbent is just so amazing. I love her so much, and I could like rant about her forever, but like she is definitely like one of my top fantasy romance authors. I adore her. Okay, so we have that. And then the next book for me to read. So I actually read like a little bit. Tell me I already have the tabs in here that I set up for this. Perfect, I already have my tabs. So I read like 30 pages of this book. My mind just wasn't in it. It wasn't that I wasn't loving it. Okay. And then I also realized that like the character Vale from this book was in the second book, Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, so I did want to pick this one up first, but it wasn't traditionally out yet. So this is a novella, and I've heard it's just like everything. It's like gonna rip my heart out. And so this is about Lilith, and she's a human, and she's been dying since the day she was born, and she makes a deal with one of the vampire lords, 6 roses in exchange for 6 vials of vampire blood that could potentially cure this disease. And she's like a little scientist. I'm a scientist, so I love that. I've just heard that this book is like short but like incredible. So that's what we're going to be starting with today. And then because his character pops up in here, I feel I will be more ready to tackle Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and I'm excited to read that. And then next we have the one that just came out, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and this is the Shadowborn duet. So then I bet the next duet is going to be like the Blood duet or something. And this one takes place in the underworld, which I always love a good underworld. So this follows Mish, and I loved her in the first book. She was such a cool character. I'm really excited to follow her story, and to go into the underworld. And then I don't think Nyaxia book 4 has a release date, so it's probably going to be about like a year until it gets released, and I'm not waiting that long to read this. So I want to read everything that I need to catch up on the Crowns of Nyaxia right now, and well, obviously not all today. So yeah, I'm going to start with this little book. And I do need tabs for it because it's Carissa Broadbent. I think I just like to match my colors. So I do think that I need some red tabs. So I started organizing my tabs in these like literal like school pencil boxes, and it's the best thing ever. Okay, so we are going to start. I'm doing a red and a like brown. Quick update because I'm loving this so far. Okay, so there's 6 roses, so it's broken up into 6 parts. And this is part 1, which is the first rose. Okay, do you see how many tabs I have already? I can tell that this book is going to like personally hurt me in like the best way possible. in less than 200 pages. Carissa Broadbent's writing is so beautiful, and definitely Lilith. I've heard she's like autistic coded, like she can't read people's expressions, and she just loves knowledge. And while I don't relate to the first part, like, you guys know I am a little scientist engineer, and just the way that she's like speaking about like knowledge and curiosity and like analyzing things like speaks a lot to me, because I feel like I don't normally see those more like analytical type characters. And I'm definitely very, like, logical, analytical kind of girly, so I am really just enjoying this so far. And it's really interesting to see science play out in a fantasy setting, and I feel like that is something so interesting and unique, and it's not explored super a lot. It's also why I'm excited for Iron and Embers by Helen Schreier, because that one is Ren, and she's an alchemist, and in that world, alchemy is kind of like the science, and I'm excited. And also, I didn't realize about my nails match. It's so cute. It is later, and I finished Scorched Roses. Oh my god, this book was so romantic. And it just packs such a punch in such a short page count. I think I'm obsessed with Lilith and Vale now, and I'm excited. I went back to start this because they did pop up in like the first 30 pages of the second book, and it was like, I need to know about them. I loved her personality. She was very unlike any other FMC I've read from, and it was just so achingly beautiful. Like, the metaphors in the writing were just done so well, and I think because this is a shorter book, the metaphors can kind of like flourish a little bit more, because it's not so like bogged down by it. It's definitely like a quieter story than like the big expansive world of the rest of the Crowns of Nyaxia books, but Carissa Broadbent's writing is so beautiful. Of course, there are so many like rose metaphors, and just so romantic. Like, this is like so good. So good. And it didn't need to be a full book to really get the point across and like make you believe that these characters are in love. Like, they're so in love, and I love them together, and it's just so achingly beautiful is the best word to describe this little book. So it's like around dinner time, I'm gonna relax, watch some TV and stuff. I might start like a little bit of Ashes tonight, but I'm not trying to get like a super lot of the way in. Really, I only wanted to read six Scorched Roses, but this is exciting because since I redid my whole TBR, this is the first one that I'm going to be able to cross off of my list, which is very exciting. So yay. Hello, I'm back. It is the next morning, and I'm just about to head out to work, but I wanted to give a quick update before I left. And I am on page 111 of Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Definitely I could tell they changed this to like the really thin paper, so it's actually longer than the first book, even though it doesn't look like it. Araya and Rain are just at odds, and I think Carissa does such a good job of keeping the tension in their relationship, and the political maneuverings of these vampires are so interesting. I really just love Carissa's books because she does do, I would say she leans more on the like traditional fantasy with a lot of world building and plot, but she gives you also the epic romance and tension and spice. So I can't wait to see where these characters go. They're definitely kind of dancing around each other, and they're just interesting, right? Like, they're not flat characters. Like, their situations are so interesting, and their characterization is very different. Like, I was reading in the author's note for the first book that Carissa wanted a book about a vampire who wanted to be a human and a human who wanted to be a vampire. And I think that definitely you can see that dichotomy in Rain and Araya, definitely in the first book. And then in this book, they are also still at odds, but they're dealing with a lot of fallout from the events of the end of the first book. So what I also think is very interesting, or I just thought was a cute touch, was that the sections are like so this one's night, and then the chapter header is just like a night with stars. And then I realized when I got to section 2, which was the new moon, it has like a new moon in the chapter header, which I just think is so like such a cute little touch. I love it, and I'm excited to continue reading this. Obviously not until after work. I used to read my Kindle on my lunch break, and then I'd be reading like 3 different books at home, a book on my Kindle at work, a book at home, and then an audiobook. I kind of stopped doing that. I just like watch YouTube or scroll on TikTok on my break just to not overwhelm my brain. But yeah, I usually don't get to reading books on work days until late at night, so I probably will not give an update until another morning. But I will say that I stayed up way too late to read this, and I need to not do that because I'm so tired today, but I will survive. So see you guys next time. Let's talk reading updates for Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I'm currently on page 402, and there's about 570 or so pages. So I only have about 170 pages to go, and I'm really loving it so far. I mean, I just like knew I was gonna love it because I love Carissa as an author in general. She's one of my faves, but definitely like the ending of the first book, like it was a book that was based on trials, so I didn't really know how like that momentum was going to continue throughout this second book. But I think she's made the plot still interesting and still gripping, but it's very different. And I think like the characters go through a lot of growth, and we kind of see them grow and change together, which I really love when an author can just like accurately capture a character arc and there are like solid things about them that are changing. So I really appreciate that about this series. I just think that like they work. Okay, I have this theory. I haven't read every single one of her books yet, so I don't know if it's true. But ever since I read the Daughter of No Worlds series, and then I saw the cover for the original cover with the illustration for Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, I think that Carissa's books, if not in the same world, take place in some sort of like author multiverse. Like I think authors will do that where they intentionally set their series in like the same universe, but they could be read in any like without the other. But I just see a lot of like similarities, and I'm like, she's so careful of like a writer. I don't think that this is laziness. I think it's like intentional. So the one thing that really made me start to think that like, okay, I think that this is on purpose is the fact that on the cover of Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which I'm gonna wait for the trad pub copy to come out in March, that way I have another Carissa book to read in March, and I'm, you know, reading and annotating all my trad pub copies. She has a blindfold on, and it says that she has a blindfold on in order to like more so connect to her magic and to her god. And in the Daughter of No Worlds series, there is a very similar concept. I don't even remember the specifics. This isn't a spoiler, but there's a very specific concept where there are like certain magic wielders that go blind so that they can have a deeper access to their magic. And the way that the magic is kind of like described as like a power source kind of running through the world. I think her series are meant to exist in the same world, and maybe it's just that I haven't gotten to like the particular book that like really makes the connection obvious, but that's kind of like my inkling. Like we don't get a map of what the whole world looks like if they're like in the same world, but maybe not, or if they're in some kind of like multiverse layered world situations. Maybe we'll get some more understanding in Songbird, because that one does go to the underworld, which again has like layers to it. From I just like opened up the book and I saw the map, and I know that in the Daughter of No World series, like the magic kind of like had layers going underneath the world. It's been like a year since I read it, so I don't remember. So I think that she's purposely doing things similarly. Like I don't think it's her just not being able to come up with like an idea. So be interested to see how that plays out over the next couple of books. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the political maneuvering of this one so far, and just like their romance is just so touching and beautiful. Like she is delivering the correct amount of like plot, and then not just smut, but like romance, and like all of these little moments leading up to the spicy parts that just make the romance so achingly beautiful, and you like just truly believe that these characters like care about each other. And I'm sorry, there was some of the best groveling in one of these scenes. I loved it so much. It was just done so well. Like, just talking about the series just makes me smile because I love it so much. I just think it's so well done. I think Carissa Broadbent is literally like a master at balancing everything that you need to have within a fantasy romance. It's kind of like really just, for me, sits right in that like middle line of like fantasy and romance. Like it kind of just combines it all, and I just love her so much. So that's where I'm at. I am gonna put this book down. I definitely noticed during the weekdays like I don't get as much reading done. It's because, especially if it's like a busy day where I go to work, I like work out, I make dinner, like I don't usually get to sit down to read until like 9-10 p.m. Today I work from home, so that was like a little bit different, but I don't normally get to do that, and that's kind of when I read like a majority of this book. But I'm kind of feeling like I've been scrolling social media too much, I've been reading a lot, like I need to do something not on my phone or not in my book. So I have a desk that I want for my book room, and I need to put it together, so let's do that on camera right now. So I have a desk in like the other room, but my husband has kind of taken over that as like his gaming desk, and I want like a desk where I can sit to do bullet journaling because I've really fallen behind on that, and I love my bullet journal so much, so I want to like do a lot of end of the year bullet journaling to catch up, and to like sit and edit videos or do any other kind of like fun stuff like on my computer, fun work. Like I don't want to work in here when I work from home. I work from home so infrequently anyways, it's not really like a problem, but like I want this to be like my sanctuary. So I need a desk, and I got one of those chairs that you can like crisscross in. So I'm gonna build everything. Hopefully it fits in the space okay, but we'll make it work. So let's do that. Well, I finished building it. It's here. I don't know if I like it there. I think I need to give it like a day or two. So I don't know what I want to do. I think I just have to give it time. So I'm gonna go read and not think about it anymore. Okay, I think I figured it out for the most part. I know I was kind of upset about the desk the other day, but I think I figured out a way to make it work because I really did kind of want the desk space in here, but with the chair here, it was too much. Can I help you? Would you like to come in? He's like so unsure every time he comes into this room. He like doesn't know what's going on. Okay, so the desk is here. Gavin is investigating. We still have the wall here. I have this lamp. I might put this back downstairs if I end up not liking it or not using it down here. I used to have it like near the chair so I could read with it on, so I might need to figure out that kind of arrangement, or honestly I could just move it over when I read, because another reason I wanted the desk is I feel like I don't actually read in here as much as I like want to. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna need some lighting. So yeah, so this shelf went over towards the wall, and then the chair went here because otherwise I couldn't open the closet door if I tried to put the chair in the corner. So now with them on two, oh hi Pee-Pee, on two different sides of the room, there's like actually space for both pieces of furniture. So we see the desk here, and then we see the chair here. The other thing I'm just trying to figure out is if this picture is too high, I might want to bring it down a smidge. Let me know what you think. I just feel like there's a little bit too much white space, but I can fix that another day pretty easily. So I am pretty jazzed about this. I finished Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and of course, in true Carissa Broadbent fashion, I loved it. Definitely the first book had kind of like a very defined plot because you're following trials, and this one is a lot about like the consequences of the trials, and she just really packed an emotional punch. I really enjoyed like the exploration of Araya's like family dynamics, because homegirl was like struggling. But there were like a lot of moments that were very touching, and I think she does a very good job of having characters that are not all good and not all bad, and they are all layered and complex, like no matter who they are to the plot. And I really enjoyed that. I just thought Rain and Araya's love story was just so beautiful, and I love the conclusion. I definitely have some thoughts. Obviously, we know the next duet follows Mish and a new character, but I think the third duet is going to follow Septimus, who is the Bloodborne king that is present in this series, and we don't know where he's gone to at this point. And he's definitely a little evil, but I definitely think Carissa could write him as a good male main character to really like dive into what his like true motivations were, because it's very unclear. So I am intrigued. I think he will make a good main character for the third duet. If it was him, I think the female lead would probably be somebody that we don't know or somebody that we meet in the second duet. I feel like this story, she just also does like a good job of like showing that actions have consequences, and even at the end, like there are still questions up in the air, which I think will go towards the overarching plot of the series. But it definitely is not just like, oh my god, like everything is great now at the end, you know, like there are still some questions, and it's just very real, and I really just like enjoyed it. I thought it was so good. There were just some twists and turns, but really like I think what Carissa Broadbent really shines at is like the emotional complexity of her characters and how that like feeds into the plot, and the world is just always so well thought out. It was just perfect. It was exactly what I wanted from her in the second installment. And even if it was different because it wasn't about trials, it is more of her, I think this lets more of her like large-scale political maneuvering skills shine, which you see like a lot in this book that I have here, which is the third book to the War of Lost Hearts trilogies, where everything kind of expands and kind of like comes to this crazy conclusion. So I definitely felt a little bit of this in this book, but again, some loose threads were still left because the series is still continuing. So with that, I get to pick up The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent next, and I'm so excited. Oh, this one doesn't have, this one has the thick paper again, because this one has like the thin paper because it's too long. We're back to the thick paper, like Serpent in the Wings of Night, and this is like 400 or something pages. Yeah, so even if this book is longer than this book, even though this book looks shorter, I hate when they change the paper type, but like I guess I get why they do that. That's why the original Court of Wings and Ruin looks so much smaller than Mist and Fury, but like it's way longer. Anyways, so Mish is definitely a character that has been set up in the original book. She's like this sunshiny character, but she definitely has like a lot of hidden depth, and she almost like uses like her optimism as a way to not share a lot about herself. So I really find that intriguing, and I saw the fan art of like her and her love interest, and he's got like black veins and like a white eye, like the whole eye is like white all over his face. I think that is like visually they just are gonna look so stunning together, and I'm really excited to see the expansion of the world. And as I've mentioned, I think before, we go into the underworld in this one, and I'm curious to see like if this kind of underworld concept ties into like her War of Lost Hearts trilogy concept. Hello, it's the next morning. I've never filmed like a get ready with me style vlog clip, but I enjoy watching them, so we're gonna try see how it goes. I have my morning coffee, which is actually protein coffee. So I'm sipping on my coffee. Just a chatty get ready with me. I've never done my makeup on camera, so I guess I can show you what I use. I'm like this is pretty much like all the makeup that I have that I use. I find a product that I like and I just like use it forever until it's mostly used up. So this is the it's a skin tint that I've been using. It's the Neutrogena Hydra Boost hydrating tint in shade Natural Ivory. I used to use like Bare Minerals powder foundation, but as I got older I realized it like stuck in really weird places in my face because it's like dry. So I switched to a skin tint because they also say like as you get older, skin tints are you know, better. Also, I should be looking in my like actual mirror, not my viewfinder. So anyways, so let's chat books, thoughts, feelings. I got to about the 100-page mark in Songbird last night, and I am enjoying the setup. Asar is like so grumpy, and Misha's like so sunshine. So it's like the very typical grumpy sunshine, but it's interesting to see how it's going to play out in like this more fantasy setting, and I'm really, really intrigued by the mythology of the underworld. We're definitely pulling in more of like the gods, and I just feel like Chris is going to do really well in this setting. I'm excited. And then okay, so very random, but I haven't been doing any wrap-ups. So I have like one book series I've just been like dying to talk about on my channel, and that is Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager. Okay, first of all, this main character, like, it is the easiest self-insert ever because she has red hair. Her name is Catherine, spelled the same way that I spell my full name, and she's a curvy girly, so I'm like, wow, that is me. And she's basically like sent to be a spy because of her debts, and she has to spy on the Fae general, yeah, I think Sebastian is like or Bastian is a general. And oh my god, the series is so good. It has me like screaming, crying, kicking my feet, and I just like love, she's like a curvy girly, and Bastian is just like obsessed with her thighs, and he's like, I want you to crush me with your thighs. And I'm just like, wow, love that. But the spy story is so good, just like the story of like overcoming difficulties like in your past. Like Catherine like originally is like married to this like duke who just like abandons her, so it's like this you know, it's like court politics, Regency era, but also with like the Fae. It's such a good series, and the third one is coming out soon, so I will be picking that up ASAP. I read the first two books like right in a row, back to back, and I loved them so much, and I just need to like scream my love for them from the rooftops, because like there hasn't been, I like, in terms of like mid-size or curvier girlies or even plus-size characters in fantasy romance, there's not like too much I can think of off the top of my tongue, except for like Poppy and Seraphina in From Blood and Ash in the prequel series, which I appreciate that for them. And also like that's another series on my like reading down my physical TBR that I need to get to, so that will probably come in the future because the last book is coming out in June. So yeah, so I just really appreciated that about that series, and I think you all should read it. One thing I think I am going to do is bring back wrap-ups, because I'm like, I actually haven't like had like a good avenue to talk about like all the books that I've read. In the past, I feel like wrap-ups would be so hard to film because I would focus so much on giving the summary of the book, but like realistically, Google is free. Like I can give the shortest summary of the book, and then more so focus on like my feelings. So I felt like I was kind of dreading filming because I was spending so long like explaining each book. But no, we're just gonna go on vibes, and I'm gonna try and bring those back in 2025, even though I don't think I'm going to be doing TBRs again, because I've liked not having a TBR. It's taken a lot of pressure off of myself, so we'll see how that goes. My brow pencil is literally this $3 pencil from e.l.f. I've been using it for years now. It's like the best auburn color that kind of matches like the dark red of my hair, and I feel like brows like make like a big difference in your face. So when I go to work, I don't even put this on. Like I literally just leave myself barefaced because my skin has cleared up so much that yeah, on the daily I barely wear any makeup now. And I think part of that is the pandemic. Like before the pandemic I used to do like a full beat, but now I can't be bothered. So let's see what else. So I was thinking about my like physical TBR, and like I'm setting out to have this like goal of like reading down my physical TBR, but like at the end of the day I'm always going to be buying books and having new books. Like that's never going to change about me. Oh my like so funny, I just have like half the eyebrow filled in. I'm always going to be buying books, so there's always going to be new books to read. So like I want to be reading down on all the stuff that I've had for a while that I haven't read, so that like again, it's like I'm bringing in new books, and like within the year of purchase I am reading them. I think that would be like ideal. So what I'm going to focus on for this first like TBR CART diaries, I think that's what I'm calling it, the TBR CART diaries, which I am actually really excited about that name. What I'm going to be focusing on for like the first part of that is books that I bought within like the last year, so within 2024 at this point. And that's mostly what's on my TBR cart, is everything that I've gotten in the last year, and it should be up by now. But what I'm actually about to put my makeup on to film is like a 2024 book haul where I go through all the books I bought in 2024 and the ones that I have read and the ones that I haven't read. So that will also help to like set the precedent, and we'll see. I actually haven't like seen like what did I buy and actually read versus what did I buy and not read, so I think that'll be an interesting video for me to film. Okay, next is this ColourPop Sparkle Shadow in La Mesa. It's called the La Mesa Super Shock Shadow Ultra Glitter. I love glitter eyeshadows. I used to do, again, like full, like you know, like the 2016 makeup. Definitely the makeup styles have changed, but also as I've gotten older, I kind of like don't always want to do that heavy of a makeup unless I'm like going to an event like a wedding or something like that. So I enjoy kind of having, and you know, I just love shimmer, sparkles, all of that. So just having like a nice shimmer shadow all over the lid, I feel like looks really nice and I enjoy it. So yeah, so I think I'm going to be focusing on reading the books that I bought within the last year or so, and really trying to like hone in on my like TBR cart. So like kind of, like again, like utilizing the TBR cart as like a visual cue of like what I really am trying to like read, and have it be more of like a rotating TBR where I can take things off and put things on as I feel like it, instead of like setting a rigid TBR each month. I kind of like having a little bit more fluid and just having options to choose from. So the idea is never going to be that I have 0 unread books and like that's that. I think the idea is that there's like intentional book purchasing and intentional reading, so that I'm not buying something and then I'm never, like I'm spending money on something and then I'm never reading it. Like I want to be spending money on it because I want it and because I want to read it, and then actually like having the experience of the book that I spent the money on. So that is kind of, you know, where I've gotten to, is I've purchased a lot because I want to read them, and then I just haven't really like had the energy to like focus in on my physical TBR. So we'll see. I feel like, not to toot my own horn, but this last week of like just focusing on the physical book because I was so excited about the book, it was a lot easier for me to read physically, although I will say like it probably was a slower experience because I could only like get to reading some nights when I'm like busy after work by like 9 or 10, which is annoying. But if it's like, if I only get to reading at that little portion of the day and I like actually like set my phone aside and focus, I can read a decent amount. But like it's like I need to kind of like be more strict about like, this is my sacred time, like do not pick up my phone, and just enjoy the book, and then, you know, get a solid hour and a half of reading in. I can get like a decent amount of pages read. But I also need to make sure that I'm going to bed on time. Important. Okay, so right now I am now doing my lashes, and I really like to use a lash primer. I feel like it just helps me get more volume. Okay, so this is the Essence Volume Booster Lash Primer, Super Volume with Super Fruits. I don't really care about the Super Fruits, but I use the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. This is like my tried and true. I've used it for years. A tube is like $5 and it's better than any other mascara I've ever used. I tried switching to the L'Oreal Sky High mascara for a while. It does not, like, that's length, but this is like volume and length like no other. It literally is a false lash effect. So this is my absolute tried and true ride or die mascara. It would take a lot to convince me not to use this mascara anymore. So, it's kind of hard to do mascara and talk at the same time. I feel like I get so nervous that like I'm not gonna have enough for my vlog, and I'm sure when I put all this like footage in at this point, and I'm not even done reading the last book for the vlog, it's gonna be like 2 hours and I'm gonna be like, why did I do this to myself? But it's fine. It's fun. Oh, let's see. With the TikTok ban, I think it's really interesting that I like struggled so hard between like, do I want to do TikTok and YouTube, and now TikTok's just getting banned, so I'm like, well, I might as well stick with YouTube. But I was thinking of going back to YouTube before even the TikTok ban was going into place, because I just feel like I know how to make YouTube content and I struggle to keep up with the trends on TikTok, and I watch YouTube for book content more so than I watch like TikTok for book content. TikTok's just like random stuff. I do like realize that this physical TBR, like I am trying to get more back into physical books, but like long term I am gonna be definitely somebody that kind of reads more on my Kindle, and probably primarily reads like my books on weekends, because I know when work gets busy again, like I might not be able to sustain this project, but you know, I can try as you know, time goes on, we'll see. They have a lot of stuff planned for us in terms of like lab work early 2025, so like I might be dying, and at that point like I might have to put the physical TBR aside, and probably like the only thing I'll have brain cells for is my Kindle, which is fine because there's plenty of fantasy romances on my Kindle that I want to pick up. I just use a Rare Beauty blush. This is the like cream blush in Nearly Rose. It's the cream melting blush. I really like this color. For me, I just think it looks like absolutely perfect, and actually my friend picked this up for me, so sometimes your friends know you better than yourself, but I just think it's like the, I don't know, it's like the perfect shade for myself. And then the second to last thing is this highlight powder. It's from Wet n Wild. Honestly, I do drugstore for like mostly, I think every one of these products is drugstore besides the Rare Beauty, because it's like honestly just as good as high end at this point. High end, I feel like you're just paying for, you know, the sticker price. Yes, and it looks so nice over, it blends with the pink really nicely, so I really enjoy this highlight. Oh, and then the last thing that is not drugstore, I have the Maybelline Fit Me powder somewhere, but I've just had this in my bag. I tend to use it more for special occasions, but it's here, so we'll use it. And this is the Laura Mercier setting powder, which is just like, I've had this powder for like a while, and it's a tried and true. And I don't know where my powder brush is, so I'm just using my foundation brush to go over everything, which is fine. Alright, and then last but not least, I need a lip product, but I don't quite know where they are right now, so I'll put that on off camera because you don't need to see it at the moment. Alright, and with that, my makeup is complete for the most part. I think, yeah, the hair is looking good, so sometimes I put hair accessories in. I don't know if I need it today. We'll see how many YouTube videos I get through filming today. I do at least want to do 1. Stretch goal is 2. So we'll see if I can get that done, but I think like, especially now, this time of year, like things are pretty slow at work and in life, and I have a lot more time to just like be present at home. So I'm trying to like film up a lot of stuff so I have like content to post for a while. Hello, so I just filmed my video and I'm feeling overwhelmed by all the books I bought and not purchased, but it's fine. So I did rearrange my TBR cart, so I think some of the things I'm thinking for the next videos that I can do, I kind of have grouped them. So this is like anticipated books by my favorite authors. These are reading the Sprayed Edge book to make sure I want to buy the Sprayed Edge sequel. This one can go like over here. This would more so be like reading, you know, new hyped fantasy romances. I guess this one can kind of be included. These 3 would be like reading whimsical books, and I think I can also do Need Mishaps in that, and then the One Dark Window duology. So yeah, I have to remind myself this is like a long-term project and goal, and I can't read all of these books like immediately, so it's okay. I do also want to point out I did unshelf some books from my TBR cart, because I think that these can kind of be like a later moment in time kind of thing to read. So The Trial of the Sun Queen, I think I'm really going to enjoy this, but the whole series is out, so like I could again maybe focus on this later on with the rest of the series. Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Love Jennifer L. Armentrout, but there is no sequel in sight, so again I kind of wanted to prioritize this as opposed to the other books that kind of are more relevant and like up and coming, and then maybe when this has a sequel announced, you know, I'll read it again, or if I get through other things, I'll read that. And then Spark of the Everflame, the other, like, mostly the whole rest of the series up to book 4 is going to be released in the next year, so I do think I want to start reading the first book at least while the other ones are out, so then I can go out and buy the sequels if I want to binge the entire series, which I have a feeling I'm going to want to, because from everyone I know that has loved it, I trust their opinion. So because the release is like so close, I might just wait. I don't necessarily agree with like the philosophy of like, I only want to read a series if it's completed. Because like I understand it's frustrating to wait for a next book, but just like that anticipation of having a book in a series that you really loved, and like when it arrives in the mail, it's just like the best feeling. And like that's the way to support authors as they go along. If you're only supporting authors whose series are completed, well, if you don't support the series while it's being written, then they might not finish it. And that's the truth. So I have a lot of reflection to do, to do after that. I am gonna take a reading break because I feel overwhelmed now, but like it's okay. It's okay to have a lot of unread books. I think I just want to do something to actively start reading them because I feel like I've been ignoring them for so long. But because I'm starting to read from my physical TBR doesn't mean I need it gone tomorrow. Like, I bought these books because I want to enjoy them over time. I just don't want to get to the point where I'm buying books, and then never reading them. So I think I'm doing an okay job, and I just need to remind myself it's okay. I don't have to read everything right now. You know, there are things that I have bought that I am seeing myself reading in the future, and like it's okay. So I need to personally take a breath. Anyways, I did that. I need a break because I did a lot of talking, and potentially I could film my anticipated releases later, but honestly that might be like later tonight because I need a little bit of a talking break because I just did a lot of talking. So hello, I am back, and excellent news, I finished Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which means I finished the last book for the vlog, and I am caught up on all of Carissa's traditionally published works. The one book I haven't read yet is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror because I'm waiting for the traditionally published copy of that, even though it's already out indie. But wow, I loved this one. It like just completely surprised me. I honestly had no idea where we were gonna go with Miche's character and like what the story was going to be like, and I loved it. We're following Miche and Asar, who is the Shadowborn bastard prince, as they descend into the underworld, and I love like the descriptions of all the layers. Like I said, I think one of Carissa's strengths is really like the world building. So I just thought she did such a fantastic job, and I am just like, oh my god, the ending of this, the cliffhanger, the ending of this was actually insane, and she just can really write just such raw and real relationships between the characters. Like, I like truly believed like these people just like the way that their relationship developed was like perfect. Like, it wasn't rushed, it didn't feel fake, it didn't feel insta-lovey, it just felt like perfectly paced and very just like real. And it was so like, I think I would describe it as achingly romantic. Like, it was so romantic, so beautiful. And like, sometimes I feel when like the tension is broken or like leading up to like just like, it doesn't have to be that spicy, but like it can be like romantic in a sense. Like he was like kissing her scars or something like that, and it was like the most like beautiful, tender, like yet hot scene I've ever read in my life. And I'm like, who else is doing it like that, where like it's just some kissing and I'm like, oh my god, this is like insane, because she just writes such beautiful romances between the characters. So yeah, I really liked this introduction of the underworld. I think like Miche had like a very deep exploration of religion and almost like religious trauma, because she grew up in the cult of the sun god, and now she's a vampire, which is a, you know, child of the night. And so in the content warnings it does say like, you know, discussions of grooming. So to me, like, it almost seems like she was like groomed by this god to be like his worshiper almost, and it's really interesting to see her like start to break from that and like embrace her own strengths as like a vampire. And like, her story was heartbreaking, Asar's story was heartbreaking, like it was all heartbreaking and beautiful, and this book just like carved me into a million pieces, and I loved it. And I'm so glad that I read it, and I'm glad to be caught up. And we just got the title for the next book, and it's coming out in August. It is Colin, The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, which makes me like worried, because obviously in this one Songbird is Miche and Heart of Stone is Asar. So the two like phrases are supposed to mean something, like it's supposed to be each part of the couple. So like, I don't know who is gonna be what in that title. Oh, and I love the side character of like the resurrected dog. So it was like a skeleton dog named Luce, and I loved her. I love like little animal sidekicks in books. Yeah, I'm so excited. I am walking away from this first physical TBR vlog feeling really happy because I know that these books that I want to read are all books I'm going to enjoy, and it makes me like really motivated to continue on. I'm looking at my TBR cart and, you know, like I have enough options that I can kind of match it to what my reading mood is in the moment. So I'm feeling like really excited. I think I was gonna maybe take like a little Kindle break, but I think I'm just gonna keep going because it's like the weekend now. I have time to sit down and physically read a book, and I'm just feeling like really excited about all of my choices that I have. Yeah, I just had so much fun reading this. I hope you guys are excited for more vlogs in the series and for me to read down my physical TBR. I think it'll be really fun, and thank you for coming on this journey with me, and have some fun, read some books, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.